Is now a good time to fix my rates? Good question. Well, check this out. What is this? This is a yield curve, and it tracks the expectations for the Reserve Bank cash rate into the future. What you see here is the graph here, slightly going down over a period of November 25 through to April 27, so a couple of years into the future. And it's flat. We have a cash rate here of 3.6% currently, and a yield curve going from 3.6% with a couple of reductions finishing and stabilising at 3.4%. Now this is as of the 5th of November. As you all know, the inflation data earlier this month was surprising. It was surprisingly high and went from sort of mixed expectations of a possible cut on the 3rd of November, on Tuesday, through to basically no expectation of a cut, and indeed probably no expectation of a cut next time the Reserve Bank meets. Now, what does this mean? Are we suddenly about facing on inflation? Quite possibly. This, in terms of banking jargon, a flat yield curve is an undecided market. They certainly don't know which way the Reserve Bank will go next, and so they're more or less forecasting no change. And that's because the inflation data did surprise. It wasn't what was expected, so everyone's waiting for new information to come out. But what do we know? What do we know? What can we surmise from what's going on currently? Energy prices and housing were driving inflation in the last measurement, and they don't look like changing. They, in fact, look like intensifying. There's a lot of debate in Parliament about this right now, particularly energy prices. And there are also new initiatives in the market. The 5% deposit scheme is the latest one, which will drive up housing prices. The government is obviously not suggesting that that will happen, but it will. No one wants to say that they contributed to inflation. But that's my conviction. It will go up. Inflation will continue to surprise, unfortunately, and that yield curve may start to look like that, which means expectations of a rate rise. What does that mean for fixing your rates? Okay, well, let's look at what fixed rates are doing right now. The best in the market in the 1 to 2 year category are just under 5%. That's surprising, because what that says is if you can get a home loan now at somewhere between 5.3 to 5.5%, and you can get a fixed loan at under 5%, marginally under 5%, then there's already at least one, perhaps two reductions priced into that over the next 2 years. Now, what that reflects is probably the fact that banks who went and bought money at this cost and are then able to offer you this money at this cost, this fixed cost, went and did that at a time when there was a much stronger consensus in the banking market with regards to rates going down. That consensus is now dried up and potentially could start to flick up in the next direction. So that means that when banks start to then go and renew these funds for fixed rate loans, so they go out to the market and they buy this money and they buy it on fixed rates, just like you would borrow it on fixed rates. In fact, that's what they're doing themselves. They're borrowing off the wholesale market and they're sending it to you. Effectively, the next time they do this, they will be facing into this curve, upside down, and therefore those fixed rates are probably not going to exist again next time they come out. And this sort of buying behaviour of banks happens every couple of months. They offer these rates for a little while until they expend their fund of purchased money, and then they go out and purchase more. And you can bet that the next round of 1 to 2 year fixed rates are not going to be below 5%. And indeed, probably the longer term rates, 3 through to 5 years and sometimes 7 years, are going to be higher again. And that's on a flat curve, let alone if that curve starts to extend up, if and when we get more inflation data that surprises on the upside. So what does this mean? Should you rush out and fix your loan? Well, you know, if you're a betting man, betting woman, you may. Fixing and going variable are always a gamble. Let's be clear, always a gamble, and I've made some videos on this in the past. So you are putting yourself out there with a position, a view a crystal ball gaze that says, I think that these interest rates will rise and not go the other direction, and therefore I'm betting on the right side of the market now by taking up a fixed rate at below the variable rate. So if you back yourself on that, go for it. Obviously, I can't tell you because I don't know, I'm not a clairvoyant, but and neither can any financial advisor. They actually shouldn't do that, it's regulated. But the point is that fixing and keeping variable is always a call. And if you have a preference one way or the other, strong preference, that's based on your idea, fair enough. But really the decision for fixed or variable should be about what's right for your budget, what's right for your cash flow. If it's a finely balanced budget, or if you have an investment that makes a fixed return, the case for fixing may be there and probably always was there. It's just potentially opportune time to actually act on that. Food for thought. I'm not going to sway you one way or the other, but what is clear is there is a change. At one point in time, the yield curve was more on the downward trajectory. It's now flat, and my prediction, for what it's worth, and it could be terribly wrong, is that it will go up. In fact, I'm sorry guys, not great news, but let's see. I'm prepared to put myself out there. Have a good one.